Hi guys, and welcome back to my small engine repair channel. Today I'm going to show you how to pressure test the fuel line on your Stihl 192T chainsaw. So I've got a 192T chainsaw here. It's a part I've taken off the recall for other reasons. However, you do not need to take it off to perform this procedure. You do, however, need to drain the fuel. Now the main reason you will want to do a pressure test on your fuel line is to determine if there are any holes in the fuel line itself. And you will need to remove the carburetor before you do this. And you're going to need some kind of pressure tester. I have a small one here, however you can use a different one. And you will need a connector that will fit on the fuel line of the saw itself. This small brass connector here is Stihl part number 428-289-02700. You can purchase it and attach it to your existing pressure tester. So before taking a saw completely apart and rebuilding the carburetor, I like to test the fuel line first. First of all, you want to get a hook-shaped wire like this. Retrieve the fuel line and filter from the fuel tank. Once you've got it retrieved, you want to remove the fuel filter from the fuel line by pulling on it. Now I'm going to squeeze this small pair of pliers onto the fuel line. By the way, these are made by Blue Point, and here's the part number for this tool. And I'm going to squeeze it right here. And I will let it go back in to relieve the pressure on the fuel line itself. If you don't have this tool, you can use vice grips. However, do put something in between the fuel line and the vice grip so you don't damage the fuel line. Now once the carburetor is removed from the saw, this is where the fuel line is. What I'm going to do now is plug in my tester right in the fuel line. Make sure that the connector you connect to the fuel line is nice and tight so that it does not leak air where it goes into the fuel line. Now once it's in there tight, you just pump up your pressure a bit. I'm just going to go to approximately 5. And if it holds at 5 continually, you know that you do not have any air leaks in your fuel line. If the pressure goes down, then you know that you have a problem in your fuel line somewhere. Now I'm going to leave that pressure in the fuel line. And I've taken this little cover here off the top to show you the fuel line itself. This is the fuel line right here, and it goes all the way to the fuel tank. And by the way, I do not hear any air leaking out of it. Now if you did have a loss of pressure, what you could do is use some water and soap solution in a spray bottle like this. You could spray it onto the fuel line. And if you see any bubbles anywhere on the fuel line, you know that there is a leak. It's been quite a few minutes and the pressure is still holding on my fuel line, so I know for sure that there is no problem with this one. Also, the same procedure will apply to most chainsaws out there. All you have to do is locate the fuel line at the carburetor and inside the fuel tank. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and Instagram. The links are underneath today's video, and have yourselves a great day.